Ed here with the Digital Digest, and today I wanted to share a quick unboxing and first look at the Lenovo ThinkPad T15p Gen 2. Now, I recently unboxed the ThinkBook 15p Gen 2, and I explained in that video that the ThinkBook lineup is really aimed at small and medium-sized businesses. Well, of course, the more expensive ThinkPad line is for everyone else. So this model that Lenovo sent over retails for roughly $2,400 US per the current listing with CDW, and the internals are very similar, but of course this machine is a little bit more premium. It is wearing that ThinkPad overall design language, forget brand, and just from a pricing standpoint, it again is nearly $1,000 more in terms of retail pricing than the ThinkBook alternative. So, in terms of specifications, this has an Intel 11th Gen Core i7 11850H processor. It is vPro certified, 16 gigs of RAM. It has, which of course is upgradable. It has a NVIDIA GTX 1650 with 4 gigs of RAM. It also has a 0.5 terabyte NVMe SSD with encryption, and it has a 15.6-inch IPS UHD display. Wi-Fi 6, of course, and this does come with 3 years of Lenovo Premier support if you go with the exact CDW listing that this represents in terms of configuration. So with that said, let's get this thing out of the box. And again, this is a review unit. I'm excited to take a look at this because it will give us a fairly good idea of a literal one-for-one comparison with as I just slide this out of the way, with the ThinkBook line. And that, I think, is something a lot of people are curious about because, you know, when you're looking at your next investment for your firm, you're trying to figure out whether or not you really need the ThinkBook or ThinkPad. And I don't think it's confusing necessarily. I think one design language and overall build will speak to one customer as opposed to the other. Of course, budget, I think, determines quite a bit, but remember, both of these machines, meaning whether you go with a ThinkBook or a ThinkPad, they are strictly business. And I think that's the important thing, is that this is a machine aimed at having the chops to take care of the majority of business applications while maintaining, of course, the traditional, or should I call it classic, ThinkPad design language that everyone has come to know and expect, and in many cases, they desire it. So it's really a matter of personal choice, and I guess what kind of scaling your firm wants to do. Now, the power brick that's included with this is the same 135 watt brick that comes with the ThinkBook, and that's to be expected. I mean, we are pretty much dealing with the same machine, but you know, durability here is going to be, at least it should be, better. So let's go ahead and crack this open. Let's take a look at the keyboard, which of course here you know exactly what you're getting. You're getting the classic ThinkPad, and this is really the top of the line when it comes to a keyboard experience, and I think business application expectations. You have a fingerprint scanner, numerical keypad, great key travel. I mean, for many people, there is no better keyboard than what the ThinkPad has to offer, and I think that's a big part of buying into the ThinkPad lineup for any one of their models. But of course, especially when you think of durability and just overall quality of build, that is what ThinkPad is all about. Now, that's not a knock at the ThinkBook, but of course you're paying less because in terms of material build and craftsmanship, more goes into the ThinkPad line, as well as certifications when it comes to encryption and overall security for the device you're using. Now, before I power this up, we have a webcam front and center with a privacy switch. It'll be interesting to see what the quality on that webcam is like. And, you know, every ThinkPad pretty much looks the same. And if you're a fan of that, great. If not, well, it's not the right machine for you. Power connector for that 135 watt supply, Thunderbolt 4 port, an LED to let you know the current state of charging. Nothing on the back here, although it looks like that optionally is probably a SIM card slot, possibly. And then on the right side of the machine, we have, if I can bring it into focus here, let's see, can I bring it into focus? I'm trying. We have Ethernet trying. Really, there we go. Not the best angle, but it'll still work. Ethernet, USB Type A, two of them, as well as HDMI out, which I believe is 2.1, full-size SD card reader, and a headphone microphone combo jack. And, of course, a Kensington lock here at the corner of the machine. On the bottom, just ventilation. As I mentioned earlier, this is, of course, a user upgradable system. No question about that. And let's see what that display, it should already have been powered on by Lenovo, a previous reviewer, whoever saw this machine first. So let's go ahead and hit that power button. And it is booting up. We've got some backlighting on the keys for a second there. Speaker right here. And I have to say, the ThinkBook 15p was pretty impressive. And I'm expecting this to be more impressive, obviously. I believe this is a little bit heavier. After all, it has the military grade spec. So the display looks the same to my eyes. Again, it's a UHD IPS panel, 15.6 inches, not high refresh, but the color accuracy should be excellent. And it does pretty much look the same. We've got 90% charge here. Let me go ahead and get on Wi-Fi and let's take a look at a video quickly, at least to see what that's like and also hear what the speakers are like. Now, I personally am a huge fan of the ThinkPad lineup. I mean, there's just nothing else like it. I feel like every other manufacturer tries, and a lot of them do a really good job of competing with this brand. But ultimately, I feel like the brand recognition and the expectation that a ThinkPad brings with it is still an industry standard that no one else has. As much as I love, the Fury from HP, and I think it's an excellent machine. It's, design language is beautiful. It just doesn't have, the ZBook line doesn't have, I feel like, the same cult status following, of course, not I feel like, I know it doesn't, as the ThinkPad realm. And, historically, people will continue to swear by the ThinkPad line of machines for good reason. I mean, they have been powering business for a really long time. So let's go ahead and just jump on the internet and let's get on YouTube. I mean, the display looks great and the keyboard, is great. So that's not in question. It's really a matter of how well we do on battery life. And, with this CPU, GPU combo, again, this is not really meant for heavy lifting. This isn't, something you want to fall back on as your daily, I mean, it can absolutely be a daily driver depending on your tasks. But with that GPU, CPU combo, you absolutely can do photo, video editing, rendering, architectural work inside of CAD, Revit, whatever it may be. I feel like this is a good field machine. It's not going to live up to desktop class performance or top of the line workstations like the P series, but in general, the P15 or P17 are going to come out much heavier in terms of overall performance depending on configuration. But remember, this lineup of machine does start, I think, at roughly $1,200 and just go up. So it's really a matter of what you're looking for, but I feel like this is a great all-purpose machine that can do a little bit of everything. And from having a great display, great keyboard, and better than integrated GPU with the discrete GPU, and then, of course, the CPU is still a very solid performer. Let's go ahead and jump to 4K. Get rid of this. Make sure that our speakers are max volume. Get this stuff out of here. I mean, it looks good. Very similar, again, to that ThinkBook 15p Gen 2. And that's to be expected. And I really happen to like both. I mean, I think they both have, actually, we'll stick with 4K HDR. They both have their place in the market in terms of, there are some people that aren't going to want to go with a ThinkBook because they prefer the ThinkPad. It's what they've always worked on and they're not planning on changing. And then there are people that are going to be more budget-centric and don't care about the actual ThinkPad design, the keyboard, trackpad, the pointer. They don't care about that stuff. So, or the military grade spec. It's more about what they're going to get in terms of bang for their buck. And I totally understand and respect that as well. Go with the typical Costa Rica here. This display should be HDR capable, if you're wondering, especially if it is the same display. Now, interestingly enough, this display, I don't see anything on the machine about it being calibrated at the factory, which the ThinkBook does have. It is calibrated at the factory. I believe this one is as well, but just nothing to advertise it. So just something to be aware of. But I'll find out whether or not it is factory calibrated. I think it has to be. I mean, this is the higher end version of the ThinkBook, so it makes perfect sense that it would be. Let's go ahead and take a look and a listen. And by the way, screen brightness, for anyone that is wondering, is not all the way up. This is 100%, which is going to look mostly blown out for this sample. But then again, if I go ahead and take it down, it's going to look much better. Let's say at about 50 right there, I feel like. Should be ideal. And audio performance sounds good as well, for anyone that is wondering. Looks good, sounds good, and it's a business machine. And that's part of what I like that's happening here, is that we're getting business machines with high-quality displays, which if you're a creative, in any creative field, whether you're working in the office or at home, it's kind of a must-have in 2022. I mean, I feel like it was a must-have years ago, but now it exists in a product. And it's readily available, easily accessible. So that's what you want, obviously, out of a device like this. Again, any creative field where you need accuracy at the display, I feel like that has just been, the options have been far few in between, but now we've moved on. And let's just do an audio sample. I'll go to my channel with actual speaking so that you have the ability to see what that sounds like. Because, well, we'll go with the ThinkBook 15p. Why not? The first thing that populates. Not a quick unboxing, but an unboxing nonetheless. And here with the Digital Digest, and today I wanted to share a quick unboxing and first look at the Lenovo ThinkBook 15p Gen 2. This is a 15.6-inch laptop aimed squarely at small and medium-sized business users. Get this a little bit closer to the audio source. Solid performance at a reasonable price with professional design language. Truly a less expensive alternative to the ThinkPad lineup, which of course is more expensive and has a completely different design language. With that out of the way, this was sent over by Lenovo for review purposes. This build comes in at roughly $1,500 US. It has an Intel Core i7, and this does have a better CPU. Finally preparing to restart, thank God. As a result, they didn't need computers like this at home. If they had them in the office, that pretty much rounds it out, at least for the unboxing today. You see what the audio and video quality is like. It's excellent for a business laptop, and for that matter, for any laptop. We'll see what the webcam is like. I already know what to expect out of this CPU-GPU pairing, which again is, I think, fairly solid for a wide array of different applications, which is what's good about it. You know, when you start getting into higher-end GPUs with machines like this, you do start to go into, I don't want to say uncharted territory, but if you're buying this, for example, for employees, do you really want to get into the top spec GPUs, whether you're going, Quadro or, of course, 3000 series? I feel like this is a good sweet spot for just making sure that, work can be done. Do you want to work, again, all day on Revit on something like this? Not if you can afford to get a better GPU. A better discrete GPU is going to go a long way to, essentially handling applications that require more horsepower and more dedicated VRAM. But in the event that, it's just for a little bit of remote work, I think this is pretty much a perfect solution, which is why Lenovo is cranking out both flavors of this specific build, and why I'm covering both is because it's a middle-of-the-road build that doesn't blow up the bank account, even in the ThinkPad line. Remember, Lenovo's machines historically always start high, end up low. They are pretty aggressive, probably more aggressive than anyone in the industry. And again, it's a really nice machine if ThinkPad is what you're after. And I think that it really is a one-size-fits-all for a broad array of different applications, because this will work happily anywhere. It doesn't have to be a creative field, but that is the idea. You know, it's not the thinnest machine on the market. It's not the thickest. It's not the most expensive. Fairly still lightweight. It's, you know, under 5 pounds or roughly thereabout. And durability should still be at the top of the list with the ThinkPad build. But that rounds it out. Again, a first look at the T15p Gen 2. Any questions or comments, please feel free to post them. Hit that like button. And as usual, please feel free to subscribe, and please stay safe. Later.